Okay, we should be live. Hello, everyone. Hello, greetings. Hello, everyone. How are you? Hello, Bernie Tucker. How you doing? Hello, nothing as it seems. Hello, TK, aka Roger. I know you're called Roger. Hello, Rhiannon. How you doing? Hello, Stephen Truth Seeker. Stephen has done an interview, haven't you? You have done an interview on the Enlightened Times podcast. That's right, Mark Conlon's show. Well done, Stephen. And we have Hugo Rune. How are you? Who else is there? We have Tessa111. Hello, Tessa. How you doing? Still trying to figure out how the sun stopped making solar flares for 2 days. Right. Probably they went on strike. And we have 69 Phuket is there somewhere. Yeah. A Ben Gurion live. That's my nickname, yeah, in Israel whenever I go there. Nothing as it seems. How do you do? Yeah, and nothing it seems says, we've contained 2 of our cats within our own Gaza Strip. How do you do? Yeah, all right then, guys. How's things? Who else is there? Anyone else? I think Diego Rivera was there a little while ago. Hello, ET. We're going to come to that, ET. False flags. Yeah. Obviously within reason. You've got to within YouTube's guidelines, but I will be discussing. Hello, Woody Black. How you doing? Hi, Woody Black. How's it going? Hello, Wayne Model Builder. How are you? Nice to see you guys. DJ B2. Welcome. How are you? Hope all is going well. And we have Welsh Ripper. Hi, Welsh Ripper. I'm glad you guys are all here. And Popcorn Boxing. Yeah, is everyone all right? Oh, we'll be coming on to the false flag thing, Popcorn. Yeah, we are. Yeah, that's something we're going to be concerned about this evening. How you doing? Behind me, as you can see, this is an explosion in Gaza City. Hello, Gary. Hello, Gary Robinson. How are you? Greetings. Hope. Oh, where's it? Where's Gary? There he is. Hello, Gary. How you doing? Hello, Snarnock. How are you? Rhiannon says, I put the bins out after dark last night. I was brave. She survived to tell the tale, yes. I'm very proud of you, Rhiannon. Well done. But hello, how are you all? Hope you're doing all right. Got 34 people watching, which is absolutely fantastic. Going for 3 minutes. I'll give it a little bit, just a tiny bit longer. Got a lot to get through tonight, though. Obviously, a lot's been going on. We're going to deal with some pretty horrible subjects. Hello, Tor Engen. How you doing? We'll be dealing with some disturbing subjects this evening. I mean, you watched the news, you know what's going on there. And DJ's made a good point there. Yeah, we'll be coming on to that, DJ. Definitely. Now, if I go to, go to the latest news, and it just says here there's a pretty horrible things going on. Gaza's only power station has run out of fuel. A lot of people have personal generators. They're used to this sort of thing, but food and water is being cut off. Hundreds of thousands of troops near the Gaza border. Sirens have been sounding across all of Israel. Israel's a small place, bear in mind. The death toll in Israel has reached about 1,200, and more than 1,100 people have been killed in Gaza. 17 UK nationals are died. We know that. Oh my God! U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is on his way to Israel. Oh my God! There's the U.S. Navy sending 2 carrier battle groups over there as well. The U.S. is working with Israel and Egypt on potential safe passage for civilians. Yeah, I mean, why doesn't Egypt has actually shown a bit of balls. They've actually said to the U.S., the Americans have demanded that they join them in some kind of assault on Gaza, but Egypt has now said no, they want to work with the international community to make people safe. They're not going to take a side in this. And as you may be aware, the Gaza-Egypt border is as tightly controlled as the one between Gaza and Israel, but they're trying to work out a way of getting a safe passage for people out of Gaza, which is great because Gaza is a small place. Only you can walk across it in a couple of hours. It's very short, small. Essential supplies must be allowed to get into Gaza as well. UN Secretary General says. Hospitals in Gaza and Israel are both overwhelmed. The English Football Association is considering a response. Oh, BBC defends a policy not to call Hamas terrorists. Oh my God, the BBC defended its decision not to describe Hamas militants as terrorists. What else are you supposed to call them? Yeah. They call the the 6th day of the month of the first month of the year. Those people who just went into a particular government building and did a few photo shots, right? They called those people terrorists, didn't they? And all they did was dance around waving flags and wearing silly hats. But they won't call people who brutally murdered, deliberately, brutally murdered thousands of people. They won't call them terrorists. Anyway, guys, how are you getting on in there? I'll see if there's any more people here. I won't be able to answer every single question this evening, but I'm just going to go through as many people as I can and just say hello to you and take questions whenever I can to you. 69 Fugit, how you been, Ben? Not bad, thanks. Not bad, thanks. Hugo Rooney is laughing my ass off. I bet, Hugo. How many of you smoked so far? And we have here Jack Malloy, US Air Force, Lemster SO3. That's a long, interesting name there. Hello, Jack. Welcome. The man from Manchester. All right. We have Nihilist Lives Matter. How you doing? Yeah. The chat has been heavily censored. Yeah, you will. I mean, I'm not going to delete comments unless they're criminal. But I found out that they have an auto moderation service in chat. I do. Hello, Trevor. How you doing, brother Porter? Porter's pride and Porter's dignity. Dark Corners, how do you do? Dark Corners, how are you doing? And we have FMG, Football Mad Gamer. How you doing? Anyone else new here? Let's have a look. We have Pia Pounder. How do you do? Welcome. We have Jason Gavea. How are you doing, Jason? All right. Do watch the Jason's show. What's it called, Jason? Not Paratalk. I forgot how it was. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Jason. I've been on the show 3 times. Well, I can't remember what it's called. Oh, yeah, it's yes, it's smoking. That's it. Sniffing up smoking. That's it. Yeah. But no, I'm just annoyed that I can't remember what Jason's show is called. Oh, dear. Anyway, Jason, what's your show called? Bloody heck. Anyway, got a lot to get through, like I said. So I'll start with I'm just going to refresh the comments just to see if I've got any. People will still post. They still might post comments in the damn on the show notice rather than on the actual live stream. Let's have a look. Have we got any? I don't think we have. No, we don't. Okay, all right. So I do have some comments. I'll remember to read the comments. Right. Yeah. Okay, I've got them all. That's good. Are you guys okay? Who else is here? That's it. Okay. Right. So, in the notice comment, Stephen Truthseeker said, "It's the end of the world again. It seems to happen every month. It's worth it, though, to listen to the lovely voice of Rhiannon." Oh, that's nice. That's nice, Stephen. It does seem to be the end of the world again. I mean, it does happen regularly, and the world survives it every time, which should give you hope. And Jamnoy says, underneath, Jamnoy72, "Stephen, you didn't claim first, lol." Then we have Sharp Teeth 17 times 929YW, who says, "Sorry, this is not funny. A lot of people have died, and the latest news beheaded children." Well, who's laughing, Sharp Teeth? Are you aware which video you're posting on? And Israel Diego Vera says, "Another 9/11 by the same people." Right, yeah. I'll come on to that. Nothing as it seems says, "I learned more in the first 15 minutes of this. Right, what's this? It's a video. Let's have a look. Is this Efrat Fenningham? Because, I mean, her videos have gone viral now.
Welcome to today's program. My name is Glenn Disney.
Oh, it's the Duran. Yes, thank you very much. I've not watched this yet, but I do like the Duran. Thank you very much. I'm a big fan of the Duran, so thanks very much. The who was it? Whoever posted that? Nothing as it seems. Okay, so now one thing that's very clear about this, one thing that's very obvious about this situation, this horrible situation, is there's no debates, there's no real discussion or debates. And what happens is the moment you say anything about this or express any kind of emotion about what's going on here, something always happens. And I absolutely guarantee it's going to happen this evening in the chat box. I absolutely guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it. And that is the moment you express any kind of sentiments towards this terrible situation, you'll hear two things. Someone will say to you, well, what about what the other side is doing? And then they also say to you, but what would you know? You're not qualified to comment because you have a matchbox sticking out of your upper left jacket pocket or something like that. And I'm just going to give you an example right now. I'm just going to tick things off as I go along because I've got a lot of notes to go through. Okay, I'm going to give you guys an example. Any new people just arrived? No. Okay, right. So I'll go to share screen, and this is Maya Tusi. Can you all see that? You should be able to see this. This is Maya Tusi, and he's got he's going to play you a recording of the Labour a discussion, if you call it that, outside the Labour Party conference in Liverpool a couple of days ago, 2 days ago, between a pro-Israeli and a pro-Palestinian supporter. Now this, here we go. Let's have a look at this.
Video we have from outside the conference zone, in which the row and the arguments started.
Law. Do you want to comment on that? Why do you say that? Do you mind me asking?
Because it's all about anti-Semitism, isn't it? That's the root of it. It's just anti-Semitism. Yeah, anti-Semitism, that's the root of it. It's as simple as that.
The term anti-Semitism is used an awful lot to apply to people who are completely innocent, like David Icke. But of course, there is the real thing. And the problem with overusing and misusing a criticism, especially one of something particularly horrible, and the same goes for things like racist and misogynist. When you overuse and misuse them, people don't recognize when the real thing comes along.
You don't want a Jewish state, a safe place, a safe state for them to live in. So you support this flag, which represents terrorism.
Excuse me, with respect.
This flag represents terrorism.
Do you know how Israel was born?
Well, what about the other side? There you go. What about what they're doing? See what I mean?
Terrorism. On terrorism. They blew up the King David Hotel. They used to put IEDs.
That's right. That was actually, there were a lot of British officials and soldiers staying there. It was in 1946. King David Hotel bombing. Yes, that was a huge bomb. I think I don't know exactly how many people got killed. I think it was 3 figures.
And my father was in Palestine at the time. It's happening right every single day.
Massacres of Jewish people in
nothing. Well, that's got nothing to do with it.
1929.
What's that got to do with the Palestinians?
See, he's doing the same thing now. What about the other side?
It was them who committed it in Hebron.
Absolute
1929.
Nonsense. It's the Germans, the Europeans,
children,
the whites.
just like the 700 men, women, and children which were murdered on Saturday morning.
And how many Palestinians have been murdered?
260.
How many kids have been murdered?
260
what about the other side?
Were at a peace festival. 260.
And people living in Gaza, in big buildings, have had bombs dropped on them. It's been continuous.
It doesn't compare.
Of course it doesn't compare.
When Israel
if you look at the figures,
Gaza,
of course it doesn't
they
compare.
send a message to all Gazans in that locality to move away. And then they hit a precision missile onto that location.
1 minute
that
to move. And where can they go? Because wherever they go...
This guy's making a good point. Where do they go? And if you look at Gaza, it's a highly urbanized location. It's literally almost entirely covered by one city or another, and it's very small. Like I say, you could walk across it in a couple of hours. Yet there's a naval blockade at the sea. The Israeli border shut, and the Egyptian border shut. However, we're hopefully there'll be a way of getting people out through Egypt, and that's what I think the UN are trying to negotiate.
Murder of civilians Just because they are Jewish.
You obviously don't.
It is
absolute
simply
nonsense.
because they are Jewish. I know
you
the
obviously
history.
don't.
Believe me,
I know.
the
I was born then. I've studied it all my life. I've given presentations on it.
See,
How can you
see, you're not qualified to comment because there you go. See, it's the second thing you always hear.
spend any time supporting this cause?
Because Palestinians have got a right to exist. They've got a right to exist in their own land. They were there. 5% Jews in Palestine. Most of the Palestinians were the original Israeli. Well,
see, the pro-Israel guy is actually making. He says, of course they are. They have a right to exist. He actually supports the two-state solution. So it sounds like he is in favour of Palestinian independence. That's quite something. As far, I mean, why wouldn't you be angry about something like this? I mean, I have trouble even thinking about it. Because of some of the images we saw. I haven't looked at all the more graphic ones on social media, but the news has shown some horrific things. Which I don't like to think about.
I'm not shouting. I'm not shouting. Am I shouting?
The Starmer is bad. Under Jeremy Corbyn.
Don't boo me! Don't boo me! Come on, boo me! Attack me! Attack me like you attack them! Cowards! Disgusting! You came into a country, you murdered children! This is not the time to be doing this! Not in the aftermath of what happened! Of what happened! You're murdering people!
You see, the gain has gone down on the microphone automatically because of the high volume, so you can't hear everything because it does that automatically. Otherwise, you'd be deafening. They'd be deafening us.
Anyone, do they? This disgusting. Are you going to murder them? Disgusting. It's inhumane. It was absolutely barbaric. It's like another pogrom into gay. It should not be allowed. Go back.
And I could. In a little while, I'll say more about I don't have time to go into big details about what's going on inside the Labour conference, but this debate has been played out within the Labour conference as well.
I'm allowed to say what I say. You're standing there, hundreds of you holding flags, and I'm on my own. You like that, don't you? Innocent people.
Oh, there's a person in chat here called Al De Niro who's made a good point. The Palestinians have a right to exist in their own land, but the English don't. Labour logic.
They're unable to protect themselves. Slaughter them. Murder them. You can't get me out, but you're going to murder me. You're going to murder me.
He's going to be assaulted by an old lady now.
Why can't I speak? Why can't I speak when you can speak? Come on then, come on. Why don't you have a go at one person? You go into places and you murder people. Please don't touch me. I don't mind being on my own. I don't mind being on my own.
Oh, I still don't like it.
What don't you like? Hundreds of you saying, stop terrorists being killed. They murdered them on their streets. They took back dead bodies and kicked them on the ground. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I'm furious.
Why do you think you are by yourself at the moment?
Typical. We're always on our own, aren't we? Always on our own, murdered by people over the centuries. And now, what happened on the weekend, it's happened again in my lifetime.
So, some of the people here were former Labour League members, and now they've left. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's
they've left because the current leadership will not stand for this level of anti-Semitism.
Well, that's not true, actually. But
they left, and Starmer was absolutely right. Kick them out. I did not vote Labour last time.
Oh God! Don't start praising Keir Starmer, for goodness' sake. Even when he was covered with glitter, he was still horrible.
Many people didn't vote Labour last time.
Wow. So
that's that is actually some of the more genteel and civilized discussions that have been going on. Definitely. So where's the next bit? Okay, let's go to the next part. Right. PJW. Yeah, let's have a look at what PJW has been saying. Where is it? Here we go. I actually haven't watched this yet, so this is new to me as it is to you. So let's have a look at Paul Joseph Watson. He's done a video about this. I was going to watch this earlier, I just didn't have time.
From all the horrors emerging out of Israel and Palestine, we've learned a sobering lesson that strikes a lot closer to home. Hamas's assault on Israel was characterized by a series of brutal attacks against innocent civilians. Young people and children just trying to live their lives who had nothing whatsoever to do with whatever Israel's done to Palestine. Toddlers in Israeli border towns kidnapped by militants. At least 260 partygoers dancing at a desert festival. Ambushed and slaughtered by Hamas terrorists who parachuted in. Others kidnapped, raped, left for dead. A young woman, 30-year-old German tattoo artist Shani Luke, paraded through the streets on the back of a pickup truck, half naked as some kind of sick trophy, as Palestinians cheered, celebrated, and spat on a corpse. But these scenes of joy and frivolity were also...
I've got like a, this is what I don't like to think about. I've got a daughter who's about that age. Some things, it's too much for me.
Commonplace on the streets of major European cities. Hamas supporters in London reveling in the carnage.
This has happened all over the world.
Same in Birmingham. Similar scenes in America turning violent. Migrants at a refugee camp in Greece waiting to be dispersed throughout Europe, celebrating the horror. And they call you intolerant for not wanting these people anywhere near your neighborhood. Suella Braverman was scolded for saying multiculturalism had failed. Now we have entire communities on the streets of Western capitals gloating over terrorist attacks. If nothing else extinguishes the deadly myth of diversity being our strength. Will this? Sure, but have you considered importing a vast number of immigrants to bolster the GDP so that whenever an ethnic blood feud erupts, it becomes a flashpoint in every major Western city? I'm in Warsaw, and for some reason they don't experience a rise in hate crimes or violence when terrorists attack innocent Israelis. Maybe diversity isn't a strength. What? I thought multiculturalism was about Turkish kebabs and chicken chow mein. You mean to tell me it was about Turkish kebabs? Diversity isn't.
Oh, right. This is Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. We know that violence in the Middle East can lead to a rise of hate crime in London. All right, yeah. Like you give a damn.
A strength. What? I thought multiculturalism was about Turkish kebabs and chicken chow mein. You mean to tell me it's more than that? It's a grim reality that as a result of an ethnic blood feud 3,000 miles away, we're now going to have a series of terror attacks in the West. Once again underscoring that the primary... really bloodless and we shouldn't apologize for it.
Oh, I saw that, yeah. That was someone at Navarre Media, I think. Yeah.
Them Israeli bloodless, and we shouldn't apologize for it.
I think there's a reason why they've been. The fact they've been so brutal. Obviously, it's motivated by hatred, but it has a strategy behind it, which we'll go into.
For freedom, democracy, piling up their decolonization meant vibes. The term decolonize is just advocating for mass murder and war crime. African migrants and build another giant border wall. Anyone who's been here already. Every unspeakable horror that happened to innocent Israeli civilians is now happening to innocent Palestinian civilians. Reports of schools and mosques being targeted. Over 2 million Palestinians live in Gaza, already under the rule of a demented Hamas government. And the Israeli defense minister said today that as a form of collective punishment, they're all going to be treated like animals.
מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק. הכל סגור. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם ואנחנו נוהגים בהתאם.
The exact same way that Hamas terrorists who ambushed that our editor-at-large Joel Pollack demanding Gaza be wiped out. Dave Rubin demanding Gaza be bombed the fuck out of for however long it takes. The US deep state has also seized upon the slaughter to grease the skids once again for more entrenched American involvement in the Middle East.
I'll come back to that point, actually, because I want to come back to the point about foreign involvement, especially the war pigs in United States, definitely. Hello, Jeff Hindley. How do you do? I had the same advert. We had adverts about holidays in Israel about 6 months ago. Two friends noticed this, getting multiple countries. Hang on, Jeff. Was it sort of saying, why didn't you come in? Why did you come in October? It's a lovely month. Was it anything like that? God. I do wonder about that. Yeah, but anyway, thanks, Jeffrey. Yeah. So now there's more. I mean, there's things I won't show you because you can't show them on YouTube. But there's things on Sargon's channel on Odyssey, which of various protests all over the world, pro-Palestinian protests. Now, some of them, there's some in Australia that are continuously shouting and chanting words which I can't utter, but they're the same words said in jest by Count Dankula, and when he nearly went to jail for them. They're saying the same thing. Yeah. So, yeah. Hello, Christy Morland. How do you do? Yeah, Sargon's channel, podcast of the Lotus Eaters. Yeah. Pierre Pounder, I think a US invasion of Iran is the main agenda now. Oh, God, yeah. Hello, Jeff Hindley. How do you do? You know, I'll come on to that. It's very important I'll come on to it as soon as I can. I've got a lot to get through. But yeah, now, I say you can't really have a debate on this sort of thing. I mean, I've tried to have a debate with somebody who ended up blocking me. Who I'll show you the meme. One of the memes I posted was this one. I posted this meme, which I thought was very wise. Niall Murphy actually has been posting this, and it's the thumbnail to his latest video. If I can get the damn thing to open. And I had the comments out underneath it were unbelievable. Here we go. I posted this meme, which you see here. There's the Israeli, Palestinian, Russian, and Ukrainian flag, and it says here, "Stand with innocent civilians who didn't ask for war." So I posted that, and some moron posted underneath, "Israel innocent ? And Ukraine ? I posted, "Most of the people who live there are," and this person said, "I know Israel more than you." There you go. You're not qualified to comment. And can you imagine that they are not so innocent? And I said, "I know." And I said underneath, I said underneath, "Are you serious? Literally nobody in the country is innocent, even the little kids who've been murdered." And then he gave me this really long, diatribe about do some research, etc., etc. Balfour Declaration, Jacob Rothschild, the fifth largest army on the planet, the CIA. Check my credentials. And then he carries on. "It's typical English disillusionment. You oppressed the Irish for 800 years, causing genocide, raping and killing millions of women and children. Then you spit your dummy out over the IRA. Oh. Well, it wasn't me who did all that, because I was down the pub during those 800 years. I got 6 guys who I can prove were playing dominoes with me. Secondly, I'm Welsh, not English. Thirdly, I'm not going to go on a rant now about so-called Celtic victimhood. But it is the greatest gift the British Empire ever gave the modern Irish people. It's their chance. They can now dip their legs. They can dip their toes into the very, very same self-indulgent Turkish bath as the wokies. We're victims. We've suffered. Oh my God! Look at us. Victimhood is our self-esteem. It's our identity. It is. Same in Wales. It's not healthy for your country for victimhood to be a part of your self-identity, and even in a strange way, your self-esteem, which it is in Wales and Ireland. To be honest, Scotland's even worse. And you get this. You always get this when you. This is what I mean. You try to have a discussion about this, and the response is, this is where it gets really weird. We hear there's this ethnic conflict in the Holy Land between Israel and Palestine and the people who live there, and the question that then follows is, well, whose side are you on? And this ties into what I've just said about how the moment you say anything in terms of you express any kind of sentiment, you're immediately labeled as a supporter of the regime within whom those people are citizens of. And then, well, what about the other side? The people you support have done this and other ridiculous, polarizing, marginalizing things like that. It's like a football match. And what's very, very strange is this is what makes it very, very strange. You know, when I went, I mean, I remember the Rwandan genocide. Now, this happened nearly 30 years ago. But if you remember Rwanda, this little country in Central Africa, the two tribes there, Hutu and Tutsi, began a civil war, which led to a massacre of the Tutsi, in which about 1 million people were killed, brutally murdered. And the world was stunned and shocked by all this. And I remember everyone saying, isn't it horrible? Isn't it awful? The UN should go in there and sort it out. And they didn't do enough probably to try and save lives. But at no point did no one at any point came up to me and said, well, whose side are you on, Hutu or Tutsi? And why no one started waving flags like you're waving, I don't know if there is a Tutsi or Hutu flag. Maybe Rwandans can tell me about that. From what I gather, there's no real difference between these people. They're racially identical. They speak the same language, but they are part of a different cultural group. I don't understand African politics, but whatever marks you as one of these tribes or the other, you didn't find people in the middle of central London, but certainly people who were not part of that group ethnically, waving whatever symbol that is and saying, well, I'm Team Hutu, I'm Team Tutsi. No, that didn't happen. The same with the East Timorese. Remember when there was a genocide in East Timor by the Indonesians? Again, it was horrible. Everyone said how awful it was, but no one said, whose side are you on? Same in Sri Lanka. Do you remember the Tamil Tigers and the Sinhalese? I mean, these ethnic conflicts occur everywhere. They always have done. They probably always will. And if hopefully, I mean, what I hope is that when these ethnic conflicts break out, we can try and sort them out in a civilized manner rather than through warfare. But sometimes it's not possible, and warfare does break out. And every time you turn on the news, you see another example of this somewhere on the globe. Yet, when does someone come to you and say, well, whose side are you on? Whose side are you, a person who is not in any way, has no ethnic or cultural connections to these people thousands of miles away? Which side are you backing in this fight? Yet with Israel and Palestine, it is different. You are expected to take a side. You are. You are told, are you Team Israel or Team Palestine? And you have these flags. We're all familiar with the Israeli and Palestine flags. We've seen people waving them in London. I'll show you another example later. And that I don't understand. That is bizarre. And I see it in the truth movement. I see it in our community. That is the truth community. I wonder if she's still on. I've seen people like putting up their Facebook, changing their Facebook profiles and saying I'm pro-Palestine and pro-Israel. I've had loads of people I know on Facebook have put up posts saying that they're either back in Israel or they're back in Palestine. And indeed, we've even seen examples of this here in the videos I showed you. In the protests are going on around the world. And I mean, it's pretty clear that the people, certainly on the Palestinian side, a lot of them are just like white British. They're not from that ethnicity. So a lot of them, there's more of them are clearly Pakistani. I think it may be because they're Muslim. They have like a religious affiliation to the Palestinians, but a lot of them are just white British. And I don't know about the people waving Israeli flags. I know not all of them are Jewish. In fact, I'll tell you what. I will show you this because it's kind of what I'll show you is it's actually kind of predictable. But Tommy Robinson has gone on a massive rant. Here we go. I will show you this. He's doing his usual. I mean, he's not. You see. Here we go.
Shall I have a rant?
He's doing his usual thing here. He's just doing some massive thing in port. He's got his phone in portrait mode and he's just doing it casually when he's in the middle of something else. I think it looks like he's on holiday somewhere by the seaside. And he's very of course, we all know he's very pro-Israel. And I'll just show you what this is his take on the whole thing. Out the way.
Shall I have a rant? Just following up, seeing what's going on in Israel. To all those people before you come out screaming about helping Palestine, have any of you fucking ever been there? Have you ever gone on the ground to speak to people? Because I have.
You're not qualified to comment because there's a spider crawling on your ear or something like that. Yeah.
I went into
I've been there, man. You haven't. You see,
I went into Fatah-controlled refugee camps. Yeah, I spent time with children. I spent time with families to understand who's oppressing them. The Palestinian Authority are oppressing them. Hamas are oppressing them. Okay, Hamas.
You can't really disagree with that. I mean, the Palestinian Authority, Hamas is not a liberal, democratic, pious government in any set stretch of the words, and they are the dominant party now in the Palestinian National Authority.
Are ISIS. Make no fucking mistake about it. Hamas are ISIS. Hamas were the democratically elected group that govern the Palestinians. Yeah, that's right. They elected ISIS to govern them. Then they stopped having elections, of course. They are murderers. So if you're gay, yeah, and you want to stand there and say, oh, I support the Palestinian people, I support Hamas. Basically, I support against Israel. They would execute you. If you're one of these women who wears a Celtic top, who flies the Palestinian flag, try fucking walking through there, you stupid bitch.
Or the Celtic fans are all waving Palestinian flags. I mean, the Celtic, like the old firm matches in Glasgow, right? They got massive boos because they all had their Palestinian flags out at the last match, and the Rangers fans were booing them and stuff like that. The thing about it is, this is like a tradition that goes back a long way, and it's they also emulate regalia from the Northern Ireland conflict as well, with Celtic always having the IRA stuff and Glasgow Rangers supporting the loyalists, and they always do this. They've always done that. And the reason for it actually is very interesting, and it's connected. And there's Andrew Power talks about that, the Irish guy Andrew Power. I don't have time to go into detail, but it is occult. But the Rangers always fly the Israeli flag, and Celtic always fly the Palestinian flag, and that's normal. If you went into Gaza wearing a Celtic top, you'd probably be treated better than if you're wearing a Glasgow Rangers top for that reason.
Try going to Palestine, going to their areas and taking a stroll down that street, darling. See how you get on, because they are barbarians. They're animals, which is what you're witnessing now. Okay? So, I'm very openly, and not because I'm shilling, not because Israel gives me jack shit, never has, okay? But because it's the only democracy surrounded by totalitarian, fucking horrible Islamic Sharia-driven shitholes. That's why, okay? So I support Israel. If there is a conflict going on right now with Hamas, which is ISIS, and Israel, and Hamas are targeting innocent Israelis, I absolutely 1000% stand with the people in Israel. And that ain't getting me no shekels, it just gets me abuse. I understand that as well, yeah? But I don't care. I'm not going to shy away because some people believe Israel does stuff wrong, this stuff. I went and spent a week there. I know lots of people there. I went and travelled the area. I went to try and understand the conflict, understand the argument, understand what's going on there. Yeah? But I understand Hamas. I know who they are. I know their mindset. I know what drives them. I know the Islamic supremacy mindset of those organisations. And I know what they think of every single non-Muslim. Yeah? So all you dickheads waving your Palestinian flags, I know what they think of you.
Yeah, and I think there's a reason why this alliance between Islamism and leftism, Western leftism, is an interesting thing, and there's a reason for it. But anyway, guys, any of the usual comments? Ben, you're taking this side or that side? Blah blah blah. Ben, 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 or usual thing. Anyway, where was I? Right, back to me notes. It's almost like this. The Israel-Palestine conflict is kind of special for people. You always say, what side are you on in this? Thousands of miles away. For someone like me, I'm not Jewish, nor am I Palestinian. I'm not Muslim. But this is special. It's a special place. Maybe it's because it is the Holy Land. Maybe it is. I mean, it could be like literally the spiritual force that's making people feel this way. But there's always this idea that somehow this is like a pivotal area, that the entire world kind of revolves around this little enclave in the Near East, these few hundred square miles in the Near East. And that the attitude to Israel, as you just heard from Tommy and other in his own usually very angry, intense way. Other people are more analytical, but it seems to be either the source of all the world's good or all the world's evil, depending on your opinions. And I've heard both. I've found both. Personally, see, I do ask, if you're not Jewish or you're not Muslim, why are you waving these flags? Why is it our business? Why is it your business? And why are you partisan in this conflict? Because if you're going to be partisan in this conflict, you might as well be partisan in every single ethnic conflict on earth, and there'll see hundreds of them. You're going to have to get hundreds of flagpoles and set them up in your front garden. So many that you can't even see the street outside. And every single flag of every single side in these conflicts, you got to fly one. So you see what I mean? Anyway, I'll go back to the memes I posted just to sort of illustrate a bit more what I was talking about. Here we go. Right. There we go. Stand with innocent civilians who didn't ask for war. That's what I do. That's my partisanship. Let's see if I can. Whoops, what's this? No, that's not. Right, this is odd. Here we go. Right, here we go. Yeah, this is one I actually created. It the 2-button meme. You see, the one button is mourn Palestinian kids, the other mourn Israeli kids. You can't do both. It's either one or the other. You see, this is. I mean, obviously, I don't agree with this. This is satirizing the whole binary, extreme, polarized, marginalized way that this debate is produced. If I press the button that says I'm sorry about what's happening to the Palestinian kids, someone will shout, "You don't care about the Israeli children who've been beheaded." And if I do the same and I say, "Well, I do care about those Israeli children that have been beheaded," which I do, I think it's the most horrible thing imaginable. Someone said, "What about the Palestinian kids who are having bombs dropped on them?" You see what I mean? This is. I like this one. This is. I didn't create this one. I shared this. This is the Chad versus Angry Tears NPC. You must pick a side, and the Chad says no. That's a good one, I thought. How you got another red cap goblin? How you doing? Welcome to the. I'm glad to see you. Green Sky, hello. How do you do? I heard Simon Park said they're chosen people, but not by God, by something else, something about the DNA. Well, yeah, but DNA. I've not seen Simon's posts on that, but when it comes to DNA, I mean, there is a indigenous race, which is the indigenous people of the Holy Land, who are both Palestinian and Sephardic Jews. But most of the Jews in the world actually are Ashkenazi, and they are all kinds. There is no race of Ashkenazi. They're all kinds. It's crazy. The NPCs, yeah, they've got their new flag now, haven't they? This is the new current thing, isn't it? It's the new current thing. All right, yeah. So anyway, where's this go back? Why are they fighting like this? And people say it's an ancient conflict. And it's true that the Holy Land has been fought over for so long you wouldn't believe it. Let me just show you. Let me just show you the there's like a chart here. Where is it? That's a brilliant chart, which I'll just find. Here we are. This is the history of Palestine. Which I'll show you. There we go. Oops, where is it? Here we go. Look at this. This is going back to this is going back 4,000 years, back to 2000 BC, and the people who have basically been ruling and fighting over the Holy Land for all that time, the area called Palestine. You see, it goes back to the Canaanites who are mentioned in the Bible. Then there's the Philistine Israelites, Assyrian, Babylonians, Roman, Byzantine. Oh my goodness me! The Byzantines go a long time. The Byzantine Empire lasts like 1,000 years, and then we come into the more recent times. There's the Crusades. Then we have the Ottoman. Then we have the British Mandate. Then Jordan, Egypt, and then finally Israel and Palestine. So this has been an area of conflict, of a lot of conflict over the years, going back right through history. It's right to the beginning of history. The the central part of the Holy Land is what's known as the Temple Mount. It's on there you have what's called the Wailing Wall and the Dome of the Rock, where there's the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is the third most holy site in Mecca. That's the first, in Islam. The first most holy site is the Grand Mosque in Mecca, and then there's in Medina there's the Prophet's Mosque and things like that. But of course there was the temple, the Jewish temple was built there, as one mentioned in the Bible, which was knocked down about 3 times and rebuilt. And the third time it was knocked down, they didn't actually rebuild it, and all that's left now is what they call the Wailing Wall. Yeah, I know a joke about that actually. It's a guy goes up to someone praying at the Wailing Wall. He's going like that, you know. And then the guy goes up to him and says, "Excuse me, yeah, what is it? What are you praying for?" He says, "I pray for world peace. I pray for the brotherhood of humanity, and that we may live in peace forever and ever without war. I pray for an end to poverty, so that all the world may enjoy happiness, health, and a good standard of living. And I pray for nature. I pray for the planet Earth. I pray to God and ask, God, please take care of this Earth and teach man to be a noble steward and guardian of this wonderful blue-green planet we live on." And the guy says, "Has God answered your prayers yet?" And the prayer says, "No, it's like talking to a fucking brick wall." Yeah, that's right. The Wailing Wall is all that's left of the temple. Where there's no temple now, and the Jews, like, it's called the Wailing Wall, I suppose, because the Jews are sad about the loss of their temple. And the Al-Aqsa Mosque is the principal Islamic holy site on there. It's also to a lesser extent sacred in Christianity as well. And as you'll see if you go there, I've never been there, but I've seen videos. And basically, it is like a massively segregated area where the Muslims go in one area, the Jews go in another, and they sort of mill around, not crossing. Their paths do not cross. There's barriers between them, and there's like a special. There's special bylaws in the area. There's no sovereignty of the area. It's mixed between the Palestinians and the Israelis, and then of course you come into the modern age, and you have the Ottoman Empire, which again lasted for centuries and ended around the time of the Great War. And it was at that time that you get the story of T.E. Lawrence. If you've watched Lawrence of Arabia, the famous film, what T.E. Lawrence did was he assisted the Arabs in their liberation from the Ottoman Empire. So in a sense, he helped free the Holy Land from the Turks, rather like in the Crusades. And this led to it's a long, complicated story, but it led to the Mandate of Palestine, which essentially meant that there was a British imperial governorship of the area for several decades. But it's around about this time that the Balfour Declaration was created, and then there was a skirmish between various people at that time, which led eventually in 1948 to the establishment of the State of Israel. It was born into warfare. They fought a war. They began fighting a war straight away, and eventually this war in one form or another has never ended. However, CCG says, "I went to 5 birthplaces of Christ in Bethlehem." Yeah, I mean, where was he born? Where was the stable? I mean, I know people have been there I mean, I've never been to this area, but I know that people who go there said it's very intense. In fact, there's even a special squad on the Jerusalem police force for dealing with people who think they're the Messiah. It's almost like a reality of the incredible, the funny Life of Brian sketch, where there's all the different messiahs in Jerusalem. And then you see them all talking, and Brian comes along and says, "He's the Messiah. He's the Messiah." That actually happens. People go to the Holy Land, and they're so incredibly overcome by the spiritual energy of the place that they believe, they suddenly announce that they're the Messiah, or they're the Mahdi, the final Imam of Islam, and think something like that. Yeah, it's and It's really incredible. And incredible people go. You can visit all kinds of there's holy relics and there's holy places like the birthplace of Jesus. There's we know that Jesus was crucified at a place called Golgotha, but people always wonder where that is. They found the original tomb, but they can't work out which it is. There's about 3 original tombs, I think. Always look on the bright side of life. It's like it's incredible. But that film, I mean, I love the film. It's really funny. It's on Amazon and Netflix now. You can get it anywhere. But it was one of the most controversial films ever made. But it's just so funny. It really is funny. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. All right. So where are we? Okay. Now, we've seen some really horrible thing. Every time I look, there's like there's 100 extra people died every time I look at the news. There's a formal declaration of war which hasn't actually happened, I think, since there was the Yom Kippur War in 1973. This was when this is exactly 50 years ago, almost to the day actually, when this happened. Uri Geller, one of the most famous people in the alternative scene is Uri Geller. At that time, during the Yom Kippur War, he was a remote viewer for the CIA. Have you seen Third Eye Spies, or have you seen the Men Who Stare at Goats? I recommend that the Third Eye Spies is probably better, or the book by John Ronson is quite good. But Uri Geller was actually working for the CIA and Mossad as a remote viewer. He's basically a psychic spy. There's been some horrible scenes. I haven't watched all of them. I don't want to see all of them. Some people say that some of them are faked because there's a image going around of an old lady in captivity, and she's holding a Hamas rifle. Actually, I doubt it's loaded, and she seems to be laughing and joking. And people say, "Look, she's playing along with it. She's obviously a shill. She's playing along with it." But that old lady was actually kidnapped along with her family. The reason she's playing along with it is probably because outside the frame, one of her grandchildren is standing there, and someone is pointing a gun at him and saying, "Play along while we're filming." What happened was the Hamas death squads actually have been into all the local places near Gaza, including the Kfar Aza, which is a kibbutz a few miles from the border. And they've literally been killing everyone. They've been knocking on the doors. And if you don't come in, they will literally use a rocket repel grenade on your house. And they'll burn it. They'll set fire to your house. And I don't like to think about it because I'm a father, They've been kidnapping people. A lot of the young women have been raped. There's been scenes of torturing, beheading. And there's the music festival. Now what happened is there's a place called Beery, which is near the border, in which there was a massive outdoor music festival. And this is where and suddenly they're having such a good time, these young people just dancing and singing, and then suddenly out of the sky, parachutes drop. And they're not parachutes, they're actually paragliders. They have an engine. And the Hamas militants are using hang gliders and powered gliders to land. They just land and they immediately start showering machine gun bullets down onto them. And the kids run screaming, looking for a place to hide, but it's all open desert. It's the Negev desert, and there's nowhere to hide. They're trying to run away. And there's film of people being kidnapped. There's one scene, this girl, Noah, she's 25, just a few years younger than my daughter. And she's pleading for her life as she's basically forced to sit on the back of a motorbike, and then she's driven back to Gaza. No doubt she's being used as a human shield right now. God knows. I can't bear to think about how her captors are treating her, how they're mistreating her, because they've literally dehumanized They've dehumanized the Israeli Jews. They've totally dehumanized them. And of course, this has provoked Israel to retaliate in very, very harshly. And I'll come on to that because I think it's deliberate. And they've, like I say, you just saw them talking about how they were going to cut off. They basically put Gaza under siege. no fuel for the power station. The water had been the water works have been cut off. Electricity, no food. They've got nowhere to go at the moment unless Egypt opens the borders. It's pretty. It's just really beyond horrific. Hey, Villanor, how you doing? Villanor is here. Welcome. Paramotors are called. Hello, Paul Wolstenholme. Paramotors. That's the thing. I see them flying through the skies of Oxfordshire, where I live. Yeah. CCG says, "How old are you, Ben?" Well, I was old the day I was born, and I'll be young the day I die. Yeah. Jeff, where's Jeffy? He says here, why doesn't the West say to Israel, yes, we stand behind you if you enact ceasefire immediately? Yeah, I mean, there's ways. There must be, I think they don't want, at the highest levels of government, they don't want this war to end. Hello, Ben and Bungle, says Jonathan Carlos. Hello, Jonathan. Good to see you again. Bungle is over there. You can't actually see him because of when I put my hand like that, you just about see him because it interrupts it sort of interrupts the machine that provides the background. Yeah, there's good. I mean, why don't they? Why is it that once these wars start, why do these wars start and they become so extreme, and people find it so difficult to stop them? When in other situations the wars actually stop quite easily because there are ethnic tensions all over the world. Some of them are very old, and some of them have become very brutal at times. Yet the two sides do end up finding a way to parley and come to a civilized agreement about it. They form a treaty, and it's surprising how easily that happens in many cases. I was just looking into theocracies. Oh, right, there was somebody at the moment. Like, there's a lot of politicians getting into trouble. Huge numbers of politicians are getting into trouble. David Lammy is in trouble, which is brilliant. Any trouble he gets into, I like, because he spoke at a pro-Palestinian Labour rally. Who else is there? Maya has been covering it, actually. Let's have a look at Maya, what he has to say. Yeah. Yes, Labour shadow minister comes out. There's a Welsh, a guy in Wales in the Newport Council. He's been suspended because he basically called for the kind of thing Count Dankula was joking about. And there's those ministers come out against Israel. David Lammy has spoken at a pro-Palestinian rally, and they demanded to know. And during an interview with Kay Burley, Kay Burley did an interview, and the deputy, I can't even remember what these bloody bureaucrats are called. The brave woman who's like some second in command to Keir Starmer, said, "Oh, he's not responsible for it. His schedule is his business." They wouldn't say that if one of their number had attended the pro-Brexit rally or the anti-migrant protests and things like that, would they? They wouldn't say that, would they? So what else is there here? Owen Jones loses his temper as he attacks Israel. So we watch that. That'll be fun. Rather than talk about these, we talk a lot about some very grim things, don't we? We talk about CCG. What's Diane Abbott's take? Right, I think Diane Abbott's a little bit worried because she believes she lives down the road from Gaza because she thinks Gaza is like a district of London. Jeff Henley. Does anyone remember the C word or Ukraine? I think my grandfather might have been worried about that. Yeah, that's gone down the memory hole, hasn't it? Yeah. Green Sky. Will China and Taiwan be next? Oh my God, that's the next current thing. Yeah, that's the next current thing. Let's just have a laugh. Let's just lighten the mood slightly. Let's watch Maya's video about Owen Jones. It's only 5 minutes long. This will be funny. Owen Jones is always good for a laugh. Here we go. Owen Jones loses his temper. Here we go. Oh, it's going to be good. This is going to be good. Come on in. I'm going to click like on this already.
The conflict between the pro-Jewish and anti-Jewish sides is once again exposing the true nature and faces of some people in...
Like the Tet Offensive in Vietnam in 1968, the Palestinian surprise attack has humbled imperialism. That's from the Socialist Workup, which I don't read. I did buy a copy once, just from someone in the street, just curiosity. I should add at this point that the description of the first thing I saw when I heard about the Kfar Aza massacre was it reminded me of the My Lai massacre. Now, Trevor Murray, who was in chat, we were talking about how religion causes this kind of hatred, but the My Lai massacre in Vietnam was done by Americans against Vietnamese civilians. There's descriptions reminded me of that.
The West is not really a surprise, but it's important to see a reminder. Well, first you have the socialist workers who are saying that we should rejoice as the Hamas side have
They really, oh God, they really are. I mean, I'm shocked as anyone else, and Maya as disgusted that people are calling this a legitimate act of war. What was done, a legitimate act of retaliation or defense. It's some people just, like I said, they can't face reality.
Traded and invaded Israel. Then we have Owen Jones, who continues to get platformed by the corporate media like Sky News and BBC and everybody else.
I've not seen this yet,
and he goes on there, has meltdowns, has irrational, emotional arguments about how, oh, it's still the Jews are the bad ones. Yeah, let's just eliminate the Israeli government because, oh, yes, Hamas are the good guys. It's black and white, according to these people. But they always have a but. They always say, oh, well, no, I didn't say Jewish people are bad. I just said Israel is bad. Really?
Right now, Palestinian children whose life is as sacred as a child in Israel are being slaughtered. They are dying, okay? Now, 50% of the... Please let me finish.
I'll let you come in.
50% of the population of the Gaza Strip are children. And those children are being bombed by a government which has said that we are fighting human animals and we act accordingly. Benjamin Netanyahu demanded the civilians of Gaza Strip leave. You cannot leave the Gaza Strip. It is under blockade by air, sea, and land. Now, 96%, please let me finish.
Yeah, I will, but...
96%, because Margaret spoke at length, 96% of those who have died in the last 15 years are Palestinians. And we cannot talk about what's happened because, when I spoke to my Israeli friend who took that call, for him, what he wants is this to never happen again. And that context for him was so important because unless there is a lasting peace, which does mean ending the occupation and a policy of apartheid and ending the murder of Palestinian civilians, then this will never end.
Margaret.
Well, all I would say is that Owen is completely and utterly ignoring what has happened over the last few days. You have ignored
Owen, just wait.
All you've talked about, Owen, is the obsession with so many people around the issue around Palestine. It's been an obsession forever. And you should just think at the moment, if you were an Israeli sitting there, if you had family, I mean, here I am, I'm sitting here, and the people I visited, probably, I don't know how many of them are still alive. Are you saying they have no right to defend themselves? Are you saying they have no right to be? All you have argued is how I've never supported the Netanyahu government. No. I've always been critical of that. But at this moment in time, this is the most horrific. This is the most horrific occasion and you should you condemn it.
I just opened in the strongest possible terms condemning the atrocity.
But you don't think they have the right?
I don't believe a military solution.
You don't think they have a right to defend their state of Israel?
The military solutions that have been pursued against the Gaza Strip have led to huge bloodshed.
You don't think they have the right to defend themselves?
I think a military attack on Gaza will lead to countless dead Israeli soldiers and huge numbers of civilians.
They should allow the hostages to die.
And I have to say, Margaret, when you said, it's very difficult to have a conversation if you just speak over each other. I don't think it's that nice to watch.
Because you make me really angry because you're using this horror.
Margaret,
I'm going to come in. I am actually going to come in. Okay, right. I'm going to come in.
Sorry.
Thank you, both of you, for speaking. No.
We have to talk about the Palestinians being killed now. That's the point. That's not an obsession with the issue. I get that. But to say it's an obsession with Palestine when we're talking about Palestinian civilians who are being killed.
Thank
right
you
now.
very much
And their
for
worth is equal to those
coming
who
on the programme and having the debate. It is an.
I was hoping I was hoping he'd go off one worse than that. Like that time he walked out of the studio. I remember that time. That's very funny.
I utterly accept that with babies, children dying, it's
both, and they both matter the same.
With babies and children,
And to say that controversial is.
I think it's pretty clear that with babies and children dying, emotions are running extremely high, and I actually think that this just demonstrates this, well, the emotion that people are feeling.
But remember the meme here. That meme still counts. People are still. I mean, I created that because this is how people are talking.
Anger that people are feeling now.
I cannot believe Sky News and others continue to allow people like Owen Jones to spread lies and propaganda they've been having from the mainstream narrative.
Well, it was a lot milder than I thought. I wonder if the original Owen Jones walkout is still here. It's really funny. Owen Jones walks out of interview. Yeah, I just want to lighten the mood a bit. Here we go. Right. This is great.
Amazon Prime big deal.
It's just something I wanted to see him. He wasn't really. I've seen this before. He wasn't really as angry as I thought he'd get. He may be mellowing with age. Old Owen, I don't know. This is the Orlando shooting debate. Yeah, well, it wasn't really a debate. It was weird because I will forward wine to the correct
And the
spot.
debate immediately becomes
Because there's no real debate between them. Actually, it's just. They disagree over. It's really a narcissism of small differences in this case of this debate. I'll go forward to a bit.
Is he an Islamic fanatic? Is he no? Is he?
People rationalise their hatred. This guy, apparently, according to his dad, saw two men kissing, and he was repulsed by it.
This is a bit long,
people
goes
know
a bit
this who are
long,
gay. That there are people out there who are sickened and repulsed.
Who are lunatics, people who are fanatics.
Who are lunatics? Stop using these words, Julia.
Is it possible for me to finish one sentence?
If you stop using words like lunatic to talk about homophobic terrorist attacks.
Here's the thing. I'll choose the words I want to use, and you choose the words you want to use. You understand?
Go for it, Julia.
Okay, well, thank you. So whoever these people are, and whatever their motivations are, the key thing is we're always going to have mad and bad people in the world. And the key issue is that they can't do too much or any harm. When you have free access to assault weapons in a country like America, then they are able to put their hatred of other people into effect.
No, she's arguing for gun control. That's it. But it's like they're not really disagreeing that much.
This is an issue that President Obama brought up in his news conference at the White House because we have obviously again an assault rifle that's been used in this particular attack. Now, in terms of the political reaction in the United States, we've got Donald Trump.
I know this is off topic, guys, but it's just a bit of fun.
Tonight, calling for all foreign-born Muslims to be banned again from entering the US, but no call for gun crime controls. Now, no matter who you want to target with the attacks, is this again a major issue for America, or is it that these people will be able to get hold of the weapons wherever they are in the world?
No, because that's the interesting thing. They don't get hold of the weapons in Australia. They don't get hold of the weapons in England. Canada actually has more guns per person than America, but they have controls over who can have them. It is absolutely absurd. Look, if America were not going to do something about gun control after Sandy Hook in 2012, if you're going to watch 6 and 7-year-olds being massacred and you don't think you need to act, they are never going to act.
I think I'm right in saying Old Compton Street was a nail bomb.
Yeah. But they're never going to act. But this is it. But Trump's reaction, the tweets he sent out since, have been so beyond acceptable in terms of the reaction of a normal human being, let alone someone who wants to be the leader of the free world.
President Obama to resign tonight as well.
MAGA.
Let's go back. There's something else here in the Telegraph coverage which I think we need to bring up in relation to your point.
You can see he's already
and that is, I think that we've got a warning, or at least a call from, just going to move it across, a spokesman for Stonewall saying that people would be feeling vulnerable. And basically indicating.
You're going to have an LGBT voice talking about it. Interesting.
Okay, it's interesting. I mean, have you ever been to the Dubai Pride Parade? I know. If they try to have one, they'd be exported or killed.
Sorry.
Nothing. Carry on. Go on.
Owen, seriously.
I've had enough of this. Let me go. Sorry.
Genuinely, we're trying to have a civilised conversation. I know you're upset. You're upset,
I'm
very
upset.
I'm quite right. Everyone's upset and angry about this. But storming off a TV set.
Right, well, I think we'll continue the press preview and say that clearly
so
there is now a concern. They've got the London Pride Festival on June the 25th. Peter Tatchell.
That was just to lighten the mood. That was just to lighten the mood a little bit, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, Owen Jones is he's just like he's just yeah. The Dubai Pride Parade is on top of the Burj Khalifa, yeah, and everyone involved in it goes down to the floor, yeah, the world's tallest building, yeah. Now, Owen Jones is he's almost like a little kid. I mean, he's young. He's a lot older than he looks. Actually, he looks like about in his 20s. He's actually sort of in his late 30s, and he gets mad. He's kind of like the opposite of Tommy Robinson. Not in terms of he's like Tommy Robinson, but he has the opposite political view. All right, and where were we? Let's get on with let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. All right. David Icke did a good. I'm not going to show you this, but David Icke did a very good video about this. He's done. His takes are really, really good. Actually, let me just find him on. I'll just find him on BitChute. Hang on. I'll just show you the video. I won't go into. You can watch them yourself. He's done a couple that are about 3/4 of an hour long. Oh, brilliant. He's almost in tears at one point. He really sort of like he is like really crying at one point because of all this. And here we are. What's really happening in Israel? This is a good one. This is a good one. What's really happening in Israel? He does this interview here with Shai Danon, who's an Israeli activist. Well, there's another very good Israeli I want to bring up actually in a minute. There's a very good Israeli involved in this. But so we'll go on to the thing about this. Like, we've got to realize that Mossad is Israel's secret intelligence service, the equivalent of MI6. And I don't know if you remember Annie Machon, but she did like I met Annie. I've met her a few times. She is David Shayler's former partner, she does the conference circuit and things like that. She mentioned Mossad as a MI5 herself. She said that whenever she wanted to give her colleagues nightmares, she just talks about Mossad. Same with the CIA. The reputation in the international intelligence community of Mossad is they are brutal and they are terrifying. And this is where we've got to start asking some serious questions about what's really going on here, because the actual motto of Mossad in Hebrew, you can see it on their symbol, is we shall do war by deception. We shall do war by deception. So what deception is being played here? Let me just find the channel I'm looking for. Here we are. I do recommend now this lady's become very famous in the last few days. Efrat Fenixson. Especially the last two videos she's done here. She's done two videos about this one.
October 7th.
Israel-Hamas war, an update and tough questions. I won't show you these videos, so they're quite, I don't have time to show them all.
Are
but
being
there's this
stolen.
one here, Israel-Hamas war, second update, October the 8th. But I can summarize her views. There's actually a transcript on her Substack if you go along to her Substack. But she said that apparently this is a thing that the Israeli Defense Force is a very well-funded, and it's a very well-funded and very well-equipped armed force, extremely well-equipped. I'm just adjusting my notes slightly. It's very modern. It has a massive reserve contingent who are all active at the moment. For a country the size of Wales, the amount of personnel, I mean, their reserve contingent is like almost all the men. I mean, Israeli men have to do national service, where they had to do so long in the IDF. A lot of foreign Jews, Jewish boys go and they fighting the IDF. One of the casualties in this war so far is actually a British guy, Nathaniel, somebody his name is, and he got killed. 20-year-old young Englishman was involved in it. TK is kind of like preempted what I'm about to say. Yeah. But Efrat gives more details. But the Israeli Defense Force, they surround Gaza. Gaza is a massive threat vector, and there's supposed to be numerous bases around there, and the West Bank, and the north border with Lebanon, the Golan Heights, because of security concerns. But there was no military force at all between, for example, Beirut, where the rock festival was, the music festival, and the Gazan border. Soldiers. What happened was the soldiers the reserves were immediately remobilized, but for stupid reasons they couldn't get to their bases. For example, they were all remobilized, but for some reason the buses weren't running, or they couldn't get petrol for their cars, things like that. The mainstream media admits that the IDF is not telling the whole truth. So this is now leaked into the mainstream media, and they're saying, well, why is it that this happened? Because it actually took up to 12 hours for soldiers to arrive in Beirut after that attack. By that time, it was too late. Everyone had either escaped on their own, or they were lying dead, or they'd been captured and taken back to Gaza as hostages. A year ago, there was a military operation in Gaza to prepare for such events, and they knew about it. The Israelis knew about it because, of course, they have access to a lot of foreign intelligence as well, which is shared with them through satellites and reconnaissance aircraft and things like that, and electronic support measures and stuff, electronic intelligence gathering, phone tapping, stuff like that, which raised questions about Israeli intelligence. And Efrat is a former intelligence officer with the IDF. There's also 2 years ago, there was a successful deployment of underground barriers with sensors to alert terrorist breaches. Israel has one of the most advanced high-tech armies. How come there was a zero response to the border and fence breaching? Efrat served in the IDF 25 years ago as an intelligence operative. There's no way Israel did not know what was coming. A cat moving alongside that fence would trigger the sensors. So a bulldozer knocking them over didn't, because if you've seen the videos, they're all shouting Allahu Akbar as the bulldozers knock the border fence over. Yeah. And even a Hamas prisoner of war actually said, who was obviously not read into this fact that there was going to be a lie-hop, he said, we were surprised that the IDF was not waiting for us on the border. He said it was actually saying, he actually said, we went there, we were expecting a massive battle the moment we crossed the border. There was nobody. We just headed straight for Beirut and began attacking innocent, unarmed people. And believe it or not, there has been a movement within Israel from the government to disarm the population, to take their guns away. Now, where have we seen that before? The United States, South Africa. The government wants to disarm the population. Why? So we'll be helpless when it comes to things like this. And in the update, she says, let's talk about IDF human observers. Their role is to be the eyes on the border fence. The IDF also operates many advanced weapon systems to take down anything coming close to the fence. Nothing was triggered. What happened to the observers? Horrible rumors said they were taken down as the first step by the terrorists. Others say they did report the breaches, but the breaches to the fence, but the forces were not prepared to act on it. Where were the forces? The Gaza division was moved to Judea and Samaria. Obviously, to deal with the Judean People's Popular Front? He's over there, splitter. And Samaria and Judea. Entire battalions of some of the most professional IDF were moved from the Gaza Strip to secure illegal outposts in Samaria and secure an MP in Hawara, a Palestinian village. Retired General Yitzhak Brick said, Gadi Eisenkot, the former IDF Chief of General Staff, fought to hide his report of the IDF's unpreparedness for war. BRICS said that April this year, many, many times before, that Israel is not ready for all-out war. Now, this has been described by the media and indeed by Israeli authorities as, it's been described as Israel's 9/11. They say it's even worse than 9/11. It's even worse than 9/11. CCG says, Tel Aviv has a vibrant gay scene. Should be right up Owen Jones's passage. I'm sure he's thought about things up his passage with that as well. Yeah, it's true. You know, if Owen Jones actually lived in Dubai and was an Emirati citizen, he would be beheaded. Right. So yeah. But is any new people I haven't got to say hello to? Welcome everyone who's here. Yeah. Funnily enough, like I was just I wanted to mention this. Right. Theocracies. There are a large number of theocracies in the world. Now, the idea of a Jewish state is not new. There have been a lot of them over the years in the past, going back several millennia. And I didn't know this, but there is another Jewish state in this world. Excuse me. there is a second Jewish country and a Jewish nation, and it's actually an enclave of the Central Tibetan administration, which is a government in exile. So technically, they don't actually have access to that land right now. But the area of Central Asia has been designated a Jewish state, and there was an MP, actually, a lady called Shazia Hobbs, who's an MP, who got into the most terrible trouble because she actually tweeted that the population of Israel should go and live in this Central Asian administration. I think she got deselected. I can't remember exactly what happened to Shazia Hobbs for that, but she almost got deselected, I think. Oh dear. I think this was during the Corbyn era, and Corbyn was like on her side. Yeah, there are Jewish independent oblasts in Russia too. Yeah, that's right. In the 19th century, there were the scenes of terrible pogroms. Some of the worst violence that's ever been committed was committed against the Jewish oblasts in Russia. But they're still there. I mean, they're still there. So there is more than one Jewish state. Oh, where was it? Right, yeah. Now, this has been the Israeli officials are calling this Israel's 9/11, but it's actually more like Pearl Harbor than 9/11. 9/11, of course, was, I can't say it on YouTube, but I don't believe the official story. What about Pearl Harbor? Let's look at this here. Questions raised about what happened to the observers. Where were the forces? Entire battalions of the most professional in the IDF were moved. The general said there's an unpreparedness for war here. And also confusion over what happened. Were the human observers taken out by Hamas fighters? Or did they just not report the breaches, or fail to report the breaches? Or did they report the breaches in the fence and the forces were not present to act on it, or did not get the message to act on it? Because it took 12 hours for them to get to Beery, right? In a country the size of Wales, where they have helicopters and things, it took 12 hours for the reaction force to arrive in Beery. By that time, massacres have been committed in places like Gaza and places like that. Oh, yeah. Why do I say it's like Pearl Harbor? Because Pearl Harbor was a lie hop. Let it happen on purpose. There's more than enough evidence to suggest that. Jonathan Carlos says Golders Green appears to be a Jewish state. It's the Jewish Quarter in London, and there's been attacks on various businesses and homes there. There's been a bit of a Kristallnacht there. Actually, there's been smashed windows and there's been abusive graffiti sprayed on it and things like that, as you'd expect. Yeah. Torangan has brought something up here. It was planned to move to Madagascar, but yeah. Do you remember Ken Livingstone? He got into terrible trouble. He got in the most terrible trouble because he brought up something that was actually written by the historian Lenny Brenner, which was that in Germany, a certain Mr. H, who's a name we can't mention, but he was an Austrian artist who was in charge of Germany at that time. he tried to arrange the emigration of the German Jews to Palestine. And Lenny Brenner, the historian, actually wrote a book about this. And Ken Livingston decided to bring this up on a TV show. And he was attacked by that other Libyan piece, saying, Ken, will you stop saying such horrible things? You know, things like that. The Charlie Chaplin impersonator, that's right, with that famous toothbrush moustache, yes. So this is more like Pearl Harbor than 9/11 because, but you see, you don't need to do a MyHop. You don't need to make something happen on purpose when there are other people who do it for you. There's no need to have a false flag attack on Pearl Harbor. It's basically Prouty's law. What does Prouty's law say? Have you heard of Prouty's law? Prouty, Leroy Fletcher Prouty. Who was he? He was, I think, Leroy Fletcher Prouty, military officer. Yes, he was indeed. Chief of Special Operations under President Kennedy. Under President Kennedy, yes. Prouty's commentary on the Kennedy assassination was widely circulated in the 1970s to the 90s as a key source of conspiracy theories. He was the inspiration for the character Mr. X in Oliver Stone's film. That's the one played by Donald Sutherland. Yeah. But he said, what was his quote? Assassinations, well, I don't remember I'm going to paraphrase the quote. Assassinations don't happen, they're allowed to happen. The key actor in an assassination is who has the power to withdraw the usual security measures to allow the assassin to prosecute the target. That's the key. Who is it who's normally in charge of security? For example, the Secret Service in Dallas, 1963, November the 22nd, which I'll be doing a special video about that. Jeff Hindley says, I'd love you to do a Jack Parsons video. Jeff, I would, but I can't. I don't think I can actually add anything to what Thomas Sheridan has done with his. So in the case of the Kennedy assassination, of course, Kennedy was in an open-topped car without any armament, and the Secret Service officers were all on the car behind. Look at Diana. What happened with Diana? Princess Diana was left in a car which had been stolen the previous day and somehow been returned a few hours earlier. No one knows where it had been. She was left alone with just 2 security guards. Her and Dodi were left alone with 2 security guards. With 9/11, there was an exercise at 9/11. I can't say too much here, which coincidentally matched exactly what was happening in real life. On 7/7, the same thing. Exercise matches everything. Matches exactly what's happening in real life. CCG, Thomas Sheridan, he's got his channel, CCG. He's still uploads videos and things like that. He's still around, Thomas. So what's happening? When you're talking about we have the best army in the world. It's been described as the best army in the world. It's certainly, in terms of its jurisdiction, the size of its jurisdiction, a country about the size of Wales, in terms of personnel and hardware, it is the most intense military force on earth. Has a massively inflated budget from endless foreign aid and arms sales. It has a space force. It actually has a space force. Long before the US Space Force, Israel had its own space force. In fact, it was Haim Eshed. You remember Haim Eshed? Haim Eshed was this guy who talked about aliens. Do you remember I covered this in one of my UFO disclosure videos. Haim Eshed was a general in the IDF, and he was head of the Israeli Space Force. And I remember him because there's some mainstream media. My nose is itching these days. Israel Diego Rivera. Will Israel nuke Gaza? I hope to God not, but I'll come on to that because I want to bring that up about escalation. But basically, Haim Eshed, I remember because they had to design a rocket that could be launched westwards over the Mediterranean Sea. Normally, rockets are launched eastwards to take advantage of the Earth's rotation as a kind of slingshot effect. But if they'd done that, then Syria, all the countries to the east that hate Israel, would think they were firing missiles. So they had to launch their rockets westwards over the Mediterranean Sea. And Jaime Shedhad was a part of that. But he, of course, also talked about aliens, didn't he? So basically, Israel has its own Space Force long before the US Space Force was even thought of. And there was just nobody at the border, nobody at all. The Hamas, it's not like they bloody dug a tunnel or anything, is it? They got a bulldozer and they knocked down the border fence with a bulldozer, with a couple. They had several bulldozers. And how about the Iron Dome system? Right, Iron Dome. This is an anti-missile. This is a massive anti-missile system with hypersonic anti-missiles. This is an air defense. This is one of the most secure air defense systems in the world. Again, it's very intense because it only has to cover a very small area. It's not like NORAD, which has to cover millions of square miles. It's just a country the size of Wales. It includes hypersonic anti-missiles, some of the most sensitive radar and electronic support measures in the world. They can literally pick out targeting radar from enemy missiles, things like that. They can detect anything. I mean, they can detect really, really small aircraft and things like that. The anti-missiles are hypersonic. They can take out anything that's flying towards Israel to do harm. Even artillery shells. They can actually take out artillery shells in mid trajectory. The range of the missiles is 43 miles. The cost of the Iron Dome system was £1.6 billion, with an additional £1 billion in terms of foreign aid from the United States. So what's your point, Ben? What's your point? My point is, was there a stand-down order? That's what Efrat was suggesting. Was the IDF ordered to stand down? That's the question. If so, why? Why would they do that? I mean, would they? Why would you stand down, order an enemy to attack you, and just allow a brutal, vicious enemy that it's not just, it is hatred, emotional, but it's also very strategic. Want to carry out the most brutal attack they can against against innocent people, including young people, teenagers and young adults at a music festival, and little babies in a kibbutz. Would you, or what are they going to do? You're going to say, well, we can't. What was the government doing? What did the government do? Did they do that? Did they say, well, okay, we can't do that because it's immoral? We can't sacrifice our own citizens for a geopolitical agenda, can we? Surely politicians wouldn't do that, would they? Well, they have, haven't they? They have during a certain attack in New York on 2 very large buildings. And of course, there's many other examples that conspiratologists have been discussing for many decades. Oh, by the way, so this might amuse you, but as I speak, Brent Lee is doing a talk in Poland at the disinformation the disinformation conference. Yes, yeah. Ask Peter Power. Yeah, that's the London event. Yeah, yeah. Iron Dome. Iron Dome. My posterior, more like a paper bonnet. Yeah. So the answer is yes. State actors would sacrifice their own people, even in such a horrific manner. They may even feel sorrow that it happened, but they'll say, they probably justify it to themselves. They probably say things, but it's a political necessity or something like that. I bet they do say things like, we don't want to do. They may say things, this is not what anyone wants, but we have to do it. We have to do it we have to do this in order to save more lives in the future. They'll say something like that. And of course, I'm referring to Israel, the Israeli government this time. But is it confined to Israel? We know that Israel is a massive white elephant. It's funded to an enormous extent by, it's given blank check, basically foreign aid by the United States, by other countries in the West. It has all the best armaments. I mean, they've even got like AIP submarines from Germany. These are like these submarines that can dive in. They can dive like for weeks on end, like nuclear subs, but they're much quieter. They've got some of those. They of course are massive customers of the military-industrial complex. But what about Hamas? Hamas soldiers are clearly very well equipped and very well trained. They have general issue uniforms. They have brand new weapons. I mean, I think who was it? Was it Niall Murphy or was Trevor Murray mentioned they have armor? He recognised Armalite on the latest AK-47s, brand new ones. Where are they coming from? These Qassam rockets. I mean, they've got these Qassam rockets, which are quite crude. They're quite crude weapons, actually. They are solid fueled missiles, basically, with contact fuses. They have no guidance. They're simply fired on a certain. They're fired on a certain ballistic trajectory in a rough area of what you want to strike, but they're not precision weapons like, say, the Harpoon cruise missile. They just can land. They'll land somewhere within a few square miles of where you want them to. Jonathan Carlos says, sorry, Ben, off subject. Do you have any London or around London talks coming up anytime soon? I have one in Newmarket, north of London, next week. The East Anglia UFO group. It's on Monday, actually. I've got to get my talk prepared. I've got to get my talk done for that. Yeah. But they fired over 7,000 of these rockets. These rockets, they're not very sophisticated things, these Qassam rockets, but they are obviously mass produced. There was a division of labour. They cost about £800 each. Now, over 7,000 in the first day were fired. So where are they built? Where's the factory that produces them? Is it in Gaza? Is it in this small little enclave of 10 miles across? Or is it imported? If they're imported, how are they imported? Through the blockade. How are they imported through the blockade? And there is an absolute, and Iran, TK mentions Iran. I'm going to come on to Iran in a minute, because the Iran connection is very important. This is the tunnels. TK mentions tunnels. Yeah, it's astonishing though that, again, with the sophistication of the Israeli intelligence services and the small area they have to cover, that they're not more successful in disarming Hamas. I mean, I made this same point when it came to ISIS, because you remember those brand new shiny armored vehicles they had straight off the production line with big heavy machine guns mounts on the top, the general issue uniforms, the bandoliers, brand new shiny weapons, things like that. Now, guerrilla forces do rise to power without any outside help. It's true. A dedicated guerrilla army can be created. For example, the Viet Cong in the Vietnam War, there was the Viet Cong, the communist resistance in Vietnam, which of course they led to the Americans going over there. They built all kinds of booby traps out of tin cans, homemade explosives, all kinds of things. I mean, you see videos of them making them. It's like a cottage industry. They used to capture enemy munitions and break them down and take the warheads out and things like that and adapt them. They had pitfalls with bamboo spikes. You know, they adapted cars and lorries and things like that into military vehicles. They had makeshift welded machine gun mounts, things like that. So guerrilla armies are not, there's a lot of ingenuity with these people. The Viet Cong, what they created it was quite ingenious. Some of the weapons they created. I mean, I was listening to an interview with a guy who spent an American soldier, spent 2 years in Vietnam. His unit lost half their men, and they never once saw the enemy. It was all booby traps. You don't normally see them parading through the streets with general issue uniforms, shiny new weapons that will come straight out of the armament factory, vehicles, things like that. They're receiving funding and arming from abroad, just like Israel. They're receiving arms and funding from abroad. They're receiving professional training. And indeed, this is even being asked in the mainstream now. Are they being helped by Iran? Interesting question, isn't it? Are they? So it's being talked about in the mainstream now that they are. Yeah. And Vilon says the Turkish president claims the US has been training and arming all terrorist groups at some 20 military bases in Syria and turning the entire Middle East into a bloodshed by unleashing them. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we know this. This is one of the things that Annie Machon was coming clean on. You remember when Annie went renegade with David Shayler? They announced that the British intelligence and the British government was funding, arming, and training anti-government rebels in Libya. This is basically the Libyan branch of the Islamic State to attack the Gaddafi regime, and of course they succeeded in the end, didn't they? And as Hillary Clinton laughed and said, "We came, he saw, he died." Indeed, Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi, whatever you think of him, he was a popular leader and was beaten to death in the streets by these militants. Oh, Annie and David tried to warn us this would happen. Great, yes, nice white Toyotas. They were Toyotas, exactly. They were actually specifically built by Toyota for military purposes. They were mass produced with the heavy machine gun mounts on the back. They weren't just normal cars that had been had things welded onto them. Anyway, guys, I need to take a little break, but while I'm away having a little break, I'll play a little bit more of Maya because, he's always I think he's quite interesting. I'll play you his little video about David Lammy. That should interest you. This is very interesting. Where is it? Here we go. Where's his interview at David Lammy? Because it's very, very. Where is it? That's odd. Won't be a sec, guys. Is this it? No. Oh, I'll play you the live stream. Here we go, because this is it.
There's nothing more powerful than you.
Because there was a shorter video had highlights about David Lammy. Here we go.
I'm currently on as the Iranians who helped,
including 38 children.
There we go.
Said that they're going to be 100% behind Israel in this situation because they were the people who got invaded by the Palestinians and the Hamas militants, as well as the Iranians who helped them. But somehow, tonight, right now, as we speak, David Lammy, who's not only a Labour MP, is also the shadow foreign secretary, which means if Keir Starmer gets a majority or forms a government, David Lammy will be our foreign secretary on the international stage. The man who had an issue with trying to get into the Bilderberg annual meeting because they didn't recognize him, he is now tonight speaking at the Labour Friends of Israel Palestine event. And we've already shown you enough evidence that people would say, well, there's a difference between Hamas and Palestine. Yeah, sure. There's a difference between some ordinary Palestinians who live in Palestine, not the actual concept of Palestine and Hamas, because we've seen the celebrations. We've seen the celebrations at the Labour Party conference, outside the conference, outside my flat in central London. We showed you the videos. They were celebrating the invasion. This is the video we have from David Lammy making a speech at this event.
Before this weekend's events, Palestinian casualties were already at their highest annual level since the United Nations began counting. More than 200 killed, including 38 children, and Gaza was already in crisis. In the last 3 days, more than 1,000 Israelis have been killed and at least 770 Palestinians have lost their lives. Thousands more have been wounded. I know many of you here will have friends, colleagues, or loved ones in Gaza that you are worried about. I think of the children of Gaza, facing the reality of war in a place that was already bereft of hope. Organisations like Medical Aid for Palestinians are doing essential and life-saving work to support people on the ground. I pay tribute to your staff working in the most difficult of conditions to help save lives.
Yes, that was David Lammy, the shadow foreign secretary, who could potentially be the next foreign secretary if...
Yeah, what a total twat that man is. And he's, again, as he could be foreign secretary coming up next. Indeed, I'll cover that closer to the time, but this doesn't mean you should all go out and vote Tory. No way. Don't go out and vote Tory. Anyway, guys, yeah. Yes, him and Diane Abbott. Diane Abbott as Home Secretary, him as Foreign Secretary. Can you just imagine it? You know, CCG. Oh no, that was a quick. It was indeed. Yes, a records. I think I broke a world record with that one. I'll tell you. I certainly broke the bottom of the toilet. But anyway, where were we? Yes. So I believe that it's within the. I think it is within the realms of possibility that this was actually organised. Both, like I say, we know that both sides in this war, the Israelis and the Palestinians, have foreign aid. They are helped. They're helped by foreign people from abroad. Now, someone asked in chat about nuclear weapons. And this is where it gets worrying, because could this escalate into something beyond? Now, Alex Jones has done a thing about that. Alex Jones has just done a video about how he fears an escalation of this into international tension. And indeed, there is a there are two carrier battle groups heading for the region right now. The Americans are sending their big aircraft carriers there. Preparing for trouble. Anthony Blinken has gone there. That's Biden's. What's his name? I can't remember what job he does. He's some bureaucrat. Which means basically the American war pigs are going to take advantage of this. Now Trump's out of the way. They basically, for the next, at least for the next year, they can do what they like, and I think they want to get there, whatever they want to do in before they risk losing it. Because when Trump comes back, yeah. And indeed, it's been discussed in the mainstream that possibly Iran is involved with this. We know that the US want a regime change in Iran. They've not been able to do this so far firstly, because of Trump. Secondly, they've had trouble justifying it to Congress and things like that. With a really massive, for example, this could be why the attack by Hamas against Israel has been so extreme in terms of its sheer barbarity. It's literally been a massive campaign of organized murder, deliberately targeting the civilians, unarmed people. The Israeli Defense Forces was not there to protect them, again, deliberately. This has spread internationally into all kinds of places around the world. Jewish shops attacked in London. In Australia, they've been just underneath the shadow of the Sydney Opera House. Palestinian supporters have been chanting the very same thing that Count Dankula said as a joke and almost got sent to jail for. These people are chanting it. Hundreds of them are saying it, and they're all doing it seriously, and they mean it for real. Something I can't even say. But Dankula basically just said it as a joke when he was teaching his dog to be a Nazi, his girlfriend's dog to be a Nazi. And of course, the Western leftists are all in favour of this. There is people have often asked this: why is there this alliance between the Western left and Islamism? And the answer is, Sargon actually said this on his channel. The answer, my nose is itching again. The answer is because both seek the destruction of Western civilization. So we have here, David says here, hey, Ben, it won't go nuclear because all the different countries of war industry can't profit if everyone's dead. That's true. However, if you want to build a new world, and the only way to do it is knock the old one down first, this could be how it's done. This could be how it's done. You want to ask, I think we need to ask ourselves, indeed, I'm going to be covering this in an article and in several videos. What's going on in New Zealand right now? In places where they're building bunkers, and a local journalist is actually, I don't know if you watch Vice. I know Vice is not the best in the world, but Vice, as a local journalist, has discovered that some very, very famous and very important people are buying luxury properties in New Zealand right now, and they've got massive building works in terms of building giant basements to them. Why is that, I wonder? The country's been flooded with men of fighting age. Yes, from a certain, exactly. There is like a massive population redistribution. They seem to be trying to, I think what they want to do is, I know that the neocons in the United States, many of whom have dual citizenship with Israel, they believe Israel will be safer if there's a regime change now in Iran before Iran actually develop the nuke. Because if Iran develops the nukes, I think everyone's scared that somehow they're going to give them to Hamas, and Hamas will fire them at Israel. Israel has its own nuclear weapons. Israel can retaliate with strategic nuclear weapons, and before you know it, there could be a nuclear conflagration in the Middle East. So again, I think possibly the war hawks want that. The war hawks are justifying this because they'll say something like, if we have like a war now, it'll save a massive nuclear confrontation in 10 years' time or something like that. I think maybe that's what they're thinking about. So what's the solution? Well, the area, of course, can there be lasting peace in that part of the world? A one-state solution would mean endless riots because, as you've seen in places like Sri Lanka, a two-state solution, people keep pushing it, but it doesn't work. There's always like demands over where the borders go, things like that. Now, funny enough, there was this guy, one of the guys on Sargon's channel, suggested a three-state solution, which means basically that the Gaza would become a protectorate of Egypt, or the West Bank would become a protectorate of Jordan, and the Golan Heights would become a protectorate of Lebanon. But it turns out those countries actually don't want that, because you see, apparently a lot of people who live in Gaza actually want to leave. They want to gain citizenship or refugee status in another Arab state. It's pretty horrible, actually, because the Palestinian people are being used as pawns by Hamas. Hamas can't beat Israel and can't beat Israel in an all-out war. I mean, if there is a massive ground invasion of Gaza, there's going to be carnage. But it could be that they want that. The Americans want Iran to escalate war in the region. They want to provoke Israel into being brutal in Gaza, which is what Hamas is. This is why Hamas made their strikes as brutal as possible. It's a strategy. It's not just sheer hatred, which it is that too. But they want to provoke Israel into a massive retaliation in Gaza, which would maybe bring in Israel in and bring Iran into the whole conflict. Iran, which celebrates, remember the Iranian parliament, they were saying death to America, death to America. And the Americans want to take out the Ayatollah and his caliphate before they develop nuclear weapons for that reason. So what's the solution? Just an idea. Now, Sargon said you can't impose democracy on people. Now, Western intervention, though, what has Western intervention achieved? It has, in Afghanistan, they spent $20 trillion to replace the Taliban with the Taliban. In Iraq, it's basically, the interventions included the creation of the Islamic State. Western intervention just makes things worse. And as Sargon said, you can't impose democracy on people who, it could be that, would a secular democracy work there? We know it works in Iran, but would it work in everywhere in the Middle East? People who are so religious, people who've lived for generations in a theocracy. What we could do is we could end, but on both sides, Israel and Palestine, We could try ending the foreign aid and the continuous armaments of these two states. Because if we do that, what do you want to bet? That we immediately cut off foreign aid and cut off armaments to Israel and Palestine. They find a peace agreement within a couple of months. What do you reckon? What do you reckon to that? If not, what can you do? If they were left to their own devices and they still wanted to fight, could we get in their way? Would it be right to get in their way, or just let them duke it out? And I'm interested to ask you guys this, because I've come to the end of my notes here. How many of you believe in the end times? Do any of you believe in like, I know, is David Splendid Isolation there? If you're there, David Splendid Isolation, if you're there, let me know. Because I know you believe in this, but do you believe in the end times? Like the Book of Revelations, tribulation, apocalypse kind of situation? Because, of course, this kind of fits in with some of the prophecies, isn't it? I mean, particularly the Armageddon. I mean, Villon says a Kenny Everett solution, I think it will be. Kenny Everett. Funniest guy who ever lived, man. Funniest guy. Very sad we lost him. Because I don't believe that myself. I don't actually believe in the Book of Revelations kind of rapture. But a lot of people do, especially in the United States. A lot of people believe in it. Yeah, and Snarnock says you need to read Albert Pike's description of World War III. I did read it. I can't remember all the details, but I know Armageddon, for example, is a place, as I've explained before. It actually exists as a place. In the best possible taste. That's right, it was Cupid Stunt, wasn't it? Cupid Stunt, whose name is actually a spoonerism. As I've explained before, if you watch my apocalypse video, I've got several apocalypse videos. I do recommend these because I'm very proud of these videos. Actually, there's one. This is the main one to look at. This is the main one to watch. Oops, where are we? Here we go. This is the main one to watch. Apocalypse Soon. And I've got there's other ones, not CERN. No, there's a few here. I didn't realize I've made so many. There's another one. It was Truth Seekers. Oh, was it Truth Seekers Northeast? Yeah, it was the last Truth Seekers Northeast one. It was this one, yeah. Truth Seekers Northeast 8. This is the one I think you should watch first. Apocalypse Soon. If you haven't watched this, please do. Because I describe how I do go into the issues to do with the end times, the biblical prophecies of the rapture, second coming, things like that. Snarnock mentions Rick Mayall's last film, One by One. Yes, it's so good, that so good. Oh yeah, Mark of the Beast, CBD. Yeah, Mark of the Beast. Yes, Mark of the Beast. Yes, Snarnock. That's right. Yeah. So I don't actually believe this myself, but what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? What if, because Armageddon is actually a place in northern Israel. It's called Tel Megiddo, and I talk about it in detail in my apocalypse video. But it is actually a place you can visit it. It's an archaeological site, and it's mentioned in the Book of Revelations as the place where the armies of Satan and God will do battle towards the end. It's also this includes Islam, which talks about the Masih ad-Dajjal, the fake Messiah, and the Mahdi, the last Imam, and which will result in the kingdom of God on earth and things like that in the end. Yeah, it's a big subject. I discuss it in detail. My nose is itching terribly. I discuss it in detail in the Apocalypse Soon video. But anyway, that's just a thought. Let me know what you think. Does anyone have any comments or questions? CERN Abbas. Oh, I'm not going to talk about the bloody Large Hadron Collider now. I know, all we need is China to invade Taiwan. Oh, nearing me, yeah. Then that'll be the next current thing. And what about what's happening in Ukraine, eh? Yeah. That's been forgotten about at the moment, doesn't it? Yeah. I'm not going to go on too much longer, guys. I've been going for 2 hours, but does anyone have any interesting comments or questions? If you don't, that's cool. It's been a good live stream. I think we've covered everything, as much as I can anyway. And Snarnock says here, Revelations mentions a 7-headed Hydra, Hercules slayed one using a crab for assistance. That's right. In fact, it's made into a film, Jason and the Golden Fleece. It was actually a Greek myth, which actually was made into a pretty good film. Yes. Diego Rivera, is this World War III? Yes or no? I can't answer yes or no. Because we don't know yet. I hope not, obviously. Yeah, Zelensky is still begging. He's the ultimate spoilt, he's the spoilt nephew, isn't he? Yes, did you see him in the Canadian Parliament when Castro turned up with the Nazi? Oh, this Ukrainian Nazi, and he hoped no one would find out. He knew he had to kiss this guy's ass in Parliament. A 97-year-old Ukrainian Nazi. Diego, Friday the 13th. This Friday, Knights Templar. I know because it's my birthday. Yes. Brand is probably kissing his BFF Harari. Oh, yes. Yuval Noah Harari. He's Klaus Schwab's little mini-me, isn't he? Yes. Snark said the movie Willow has a double-headed Hydra. I can't watch that. It's too upsetting, that film. It's too upsetting. 10/13, 13/10. It's my birthday. I don't want World War III to break out on my birthday. I really don't. Villon Aura. We need Dr. Greer's aliens to come down and save us. We don't need Dr. Greer's aliens to come and save us. All we need is Dr. Stephen Greer himself, because he is the Messiah, man. He's the Messiah. I'm your God. Very modest man indeed. Phuket, stop dissing Zelensky. He's taken on our bully. No, he's not. Oh, my God. Phuket. Have you watched my videos about that? Oh, dear. DJ, if World War III broke out, it'd be very crass. It would indeed, actually, especially on my birthday. Putin reckons Hamas uses weapons supplied to the Ukraine. You think there's any truth to that? Probably. Probably there's been a lot of corruption and misappropriation of funds and stuff like that. Misappropriation of weapons. I remember the movie Strike. I did not want to be a musical. I've never seen that. I've not seen that. Maybe it's time to rewatch Doctor Strangelove so I don't get too downhearted, Well, Shripper, your views on Alex Collier. Oh my God, I don't have time to go into that. Sorry. Snarnock, Nick Colostrum will have an interesting take on that. Yes, I've just done an interview with him actually about William Shakespeare and the gunpowder plot, but maybe I'll have to talk to him about this as well. Yeah. Nothing, it seems. 14th of October special in this household. Me too. I need to be treated very well because I'm getting over my birthday hangover that morning. Anyway, ladles and jelly spoons. Yeah. Hello, Simon Tucker. How are you doing? Does anyone else have any more questions or comments? I'm sorry I haven't been able to address all your comments today, but I've basically had so much to get through in that. It's so much to get through. There's a lot to get through. The Lights Willow. Hello, Lights. How you doing? Doctor Strangelove is being staged in London. All right, is it now a stage play? Oh God, they're turning everything into that, aren't they? Jeff Findley, are aliens interdimensional? Some of them are, I think. Yes. Martin Press, I want to see episode 2 of Hunting Morons with Ben and Larry. I will have to. I don't know if you can possibly remake or do an episode 2 of that. Yeah. Ukraine 8 ATGMs turning up in Mexico. I bet they turn up in Gaza too. Well, it's funny how you see the same kinds of weapons and hardware turning up in different war zones all over the world, don't you? Isn't that right? The lights. I've not seen the new Jimmy Savile thing yet, but looks interesting. David, do you remember the BBC series from the 1980s called Threads? It put the shits at me. Yeah, me too. Remember it? I was shown it in school when I was like about 10. It was like the most horrible, depressing film. It's basically a film about nuclear holocaust. It's like The Day After. Do you remember? You've seen The Day After, the American version? But Threads was much more graphic and much more melancholy. I mean, who could have even written? I mean, the people wrote that and directed it. Oh, it's bloody horrible. And to show that to little kids, it's just like, I think that's mental torture. I'm really angry about all the things that happened to me when I was a kid. At school and at home. Yeah. All right, guys. I think we're done now. Unless anyone has anything else to say, does anyone else want to add anything? Yeah. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone. This has been we've got a lot to get through. This is a very upsetting and depressing subject, and my heart goes out to all the people who've lost loved ones and who have loved ones in custody, in captivity, by Hamas, and to everyone in Gaza who's suffering as well because they've been bombed and they've had their water and electricity and gas and everything cut off and they can't get out. I want to say I'm sorry about all that. I hope it all gets resolved. I really do. Night night, Ben and Bungle. Bungle says night night. Jonathan, night night, Jonathan. You're welcome, Jeff. You're welcome. Night night. The lights were low. Yeah. DJ, remember to be neutral and look objectively at the atrocities on both sides. This is what has been so difficult in this situation, as I explained at the beginning. That's what has been made almost impossible by the political situation and the political landscape of this issue. Oh, Jeff's nice to contribute. First time in ages. Welcome back. It's good to have you back. Night, Snarnock. Thanks, Ben. To do this subject takes balls. Thanks, CCG. You're much appreciated. 69. Me and me bum sister going to bed. Night all. Night, Phuket. Don't forget. Don't lie on your back. Bum sis are not nice. They are not nice. Night, DJ B2. Become a Vulcan, I guess. Live long and prosper, DJ B2. Night. CCG says something in Spanish, which I think might mean good night. Night, CCG. Buenas noches. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate you taking part in this live stream. 63. I've had up to 70 views, which is really, really cool. It's a lot for me. It's probably more than that, actually, but YouTube are deliberately making me look less popular. But night, Torangan. Night, David. Thanks very much. Jonathan. Oh, one question. If French bedbugs invade and infest Bungle, would you kill him to enrich yourself? Bungle has nowhere where the French bedbugs can live. I think if anyone's going to get some new disease from Plum Island, it will be me. Night, Vrillon. Sweet dreams. Night, DJ. By the way, David, are you the David I think you are? The David I used to talk to in Leeds? Who used to meet in Leeds every time? Good night, Vrillon. I don't think you're David Splendid Isolation. You don't talk like him. But I mean, the Leeds Exopolitics conferences, I mean. Yeah. Just say interdimensional and then run away. I can't. I don't have time to get into that now, TK. Night, TK. Oh, good. I'll sleep okay tonight. Oh, good, Jonathan. That's good to know. Night, Jonathan. Night. Yeah, I just hope things. I hope things work their way out. I hope the forces of good come into Le Parc. French bedbugs. I'm not. Oh, God. I bet some people wanted me to do a live stream about the bloody bedbugs. I did. I slept in that hotel in Lytham St Anne's. Do you remember? I was in my video when I was in that room when I was speaking. I was in the speaker's hotel, and there was bedbugs. I got like, loads of bites all over me. Night, DJ B2. Are we winning, Ben? Well, if you got, with considering that I've got you guys, my friends, and there's so many good people I speak to who are on our side, I don't see how we could be losing. I think if we were losing, we wouldn't have had 2016. Just wait and see what happens next year, because of course it could be that old Trumpy will return and he'll put us. And if we just hang on till November, it could be Trump will get in, and of course when that happens, yep. All right, no, it's not different. We met at Awakenings Conference, Manchester. All right, David, well, it's good to meet you again. Good to meet you. Snarknockers, they're as bad as fleas. Oh, yes, they're like Dracula compared to like a mosquito. They're horrible little things. Horrible bastards they are. They left me big red welts all over my back. Yeah. Okay, guys. Farewell. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.